I'm Chris Sangster, and you're watching an excerpt from Scenes and Songs, the show that dissects outstanding movie and music pairings. That signature song from Top Gun is Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins. The film's producers, Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer, along with music supervisor Michael Dilbeck and music editor Bob Badami, had hundreds of songs to choose from when starting to plan what would become one of the best-selling movie soundtracks of all time. To start things off, they held what in the industry is referred to as a cattle call. Musicians, songwriters, and singers far and wide were invited by the soundtrack's label, Columbia Records, to multiple early screenings of the film, in hopes that they would submit songs to form the basis of the soundtrack. At the end of these screenings, the producers had hundreds of cassette tapes to sift through. Allegedly, they would only listen to a song for about 5 seconds, and if it didn't click, it was on to the next one. This cattle call did result in a few keeper tunes, but after testing hundreds of songs against the intro scene of the film, nothing was clicking. Finally, they gave up their search for the perfect intro song and turned to Bruckheimer's go-to composer and Scenes and Songs favorite, Giorgio Moroder, for help. The result? A rocking tune with driving guitars and a catchy synth bass, co-written by Tom Whitlock. Now, who's this Tom Whitlock guy? Well, Tom Whitlock was born in Springfield, Missouri, and he was inspired to take up the drums by his hometown's musical television program, the Ozark Jubilee. He studied music collegiately for a time, but decided quickly to move on. Once in LA, Tom used his quick wits and knowledge of auto mechanics of all things to work his way into the good graces of none other than Giorgio Moroder. One day, Giorgio, who had been doing as all great rock stars do, complaining that his Ferrari wasn't running properly, was introduced to young Tom Whitlock, who offered to fix the broken brakes on Giorgio's Ferrari. He did just that, and through that experience became somewhat of a personal assistant to Giorgio. One day, Tom mentioned, "Oh, by the way, if you ever need a lyricist, I can write lyrics too." So with his usual co-writers unavailable for this project, Giorgio tapped young Tom to write the lyrics for his musical contributions to the Top Gun soundtrack. These songs went to number 2 and number 1 respectively on the Billboard charts, and you know them as Danger Zone and Take My Breath Away. Wow. With Whitlock's help, Moroder had finally penned a tune that caught the ear of the producers, and now the task was to find a singer. And an arduous task it was. Bryan Adams was initially approached but turned it down because he did not agree with the film's pro-war politics. REO Speedwagon declined because they didn't want to be involved in any movie soundtrack. Corey Hart was also approached at the time, but declined to focus on his own music. Finally, the band Toto was slated to sing Danger Zone, and their ballad Only You was to be the love scene song. However, a dispute between the band's lawyers and the production team caused them to pull out at the last minute. Finally, they went back to their cattle call of singers from Columbia and found folk singer Kenny Loggins, who had already penned the song Playin' with the Boys for the volleyball scene. Loggins initially chose to write for that scene because he figured everybody else would write for the flight scenes. About his involvement with Danger Zone, Loggins said in an interview, "I got lucky on that one. Toto was originally selected to sing the song, but their lawyers didn't get along and they needed a singer in a hurry. I was in the studio recording another song for Top Gun, and they asked me if I'd be interested in doing Danger Zone. I needed an up-tempo song in my show, so I said yes, and the rest is history." After that, Tom Whitlock went to meet with Loggins at his Encino home, and Kenny added a few original touches of his own. They then headed to the studio to record the vocals, which Loggins says were inspired by the Tina Turner records he was listening to at the time, stating that he employed a vocal style on that record that he had never tried before and hasn't returned to since, and that was inspired by Tina. Loggins himself started his career penning songs for the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band before finding commercial success with the folk duo Loggins and Messina, formed with former Poco guitarist Jim Messina. Loggins has said that he always wanted to be a member of The Who growing up, but when he sat down to write, only folk songs came out. Danger Zone was his chance to unleash his inner rocker. Now that the singer was firmly in place, it was time for a classic Giorgio Moroder trick: supplement his excellent synth work with top-tier studio musicians. In this case, he had John Robinson, who played on Michael Jackson's Off the Wall and Quincy Jones's We Are the World, handle just the drum fills. I believe the rest of the drums were programmed, but he had a live drummer come in for just the fills. And then for the sax solo at the end, he employed the talents of Blues Brothers band member and leader of the LA Express, Tom Scott. For the guitar work, he brought in ace session player Dan Huff, a real-life guitar hero from the band Giant, who is now a big-time Nashville producer, producing records for Faith Hill, Keith Urban, and many, many more. And of course, they topped it all off with the king of the movie soundtrack, Kenny Loggins, who during the 1980s became a mainstay in the world of movie soundtracks, composing or performing on such hits as I'm Alright from Caddyshack, the theme from Footloose, I Believe in Love from the 1976 version of A Star Is Born, and of course Danger Zone and Playing with the Boys from Top Gun. All of these excellent musicians came together to create this rocking tune that would typify the adrenaline-fueled madness that was the 1980s. It would also be used as the theme song for Top Gun's own adrenaline junkie, the rock star of the sky, Pete Maverick Mitchell. Thanks for watching this excerpt from Scenes and Songs. For full episodes, check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or wherever podcasts are sold.